A woo, a woo, a woo. My broken kazoo, Petey. I have a broken kazoo. It doesn't even kazoo right. I'm mad. But I can kazoo without a kazoo. I can't do it anymore. Let's go.
Buenos nachos, amigos. Welcome to another fantastic episode of Record Breakers. I'm still here on Patrick's couch. He hasn't let me go all week.
Hey, I fed you. You were given food and water.
Yes, sir. Shing, shing. I'm here. We're here to talk about music. We're here to share music with each other, as we do every week. The provider of music this week is none other than Patrick. Patrick, what do you got for us this week?
Gonna get back into the metal, but something a little bit different than the last metal with the band Nevermore and their album Dead Heart in a Dead World.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to introduce myself. I had a prop. I was gonna say.
Oh wait! I forgot. Well, we got people. Oh wait, let's back around. All right, Record Breakers. I'm Petey Ray, your man with no plan. Here with me, of course, is my crew, my team, my squad. It's all kind of like flipped around because I'm not at home at the home base, so I lost track of what I was doing. And you know how easily I lose track of what I'm doing, even when I'm at my home base. So, but yeah, I've got my team, my squad. I've got Brett.
Yak, yak, yak.
I've got Drew.
We rewinded for that.
Yeah.
No, I see that ruined it. I was okay. Record Breakers was an inside job.
Yes, and we got Patrick.
Hello again.
Yes, we gotta do the proper introduction. So I forgot.
Editorial overreach. Sorry, everybody.
But it was my fault. I will admit it. It is my fault.
People aren't gonna know who Drew is. Like, what?
People don't know who I am anyway, so what's the matter?
Yeah. All right, but yeah, Patrick.
Want to talk about metal?
We're talking about metal, as Patrick said. Nevermore, Dead Heart in the Dark, Dead Heart in the Dead World.
Award-winning podcast.
Yes.
Which award? We're not quite sure.
Award?
It's certified dank. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot we won the scarf.
Yeah. Nearly award nominated.
We refused ourselves.
Yeah.
By the Diamond Group.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we're talking about Nevermore. Brett, what were your expectations coming into this album?
Okay, so one of my best childhood friends came home from a failed stint at Columbia College in Chicago. And he came back with a Nevermore tattoo that threatened his inheritance. And even that didn't inspire me to actually dig into this music. There are other notable Nevermore memories in Brett Hibbard's life up till now. I did hear some of the stuff being played while I was working in the music store, but it was brief and unmemorable. And I've heard a million people try to play licks off of these, especially Sweet Picking. And I've seen some YouTube videos, but musically, I knew what I was getting into broadly. But specifically, I did not know this album or this band very well.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what were your expectations coming into this album?
With a name like Nevermore, you're either going to get some sort of goth band or some sort of like sort of possibly vaguey prog metal, like band singing about fantasy themes, was usually my thought. So I was expecting maybe a little bit of that with some metal. And I was worried because, as was alluded to before in our last recording, maybe sometimes Swagger's picking metal is not would not be my first pick in metal. So I was like, oh yay, that might be a thing. Yeah. But we'll get into whether that proved itself out or not.
Yeah, I had an inkling of what we might get into, but I wasn't absolutely sure. I definitely was curious as well. Patrick, how would you describe this album musically? What would be the themes elements?
So Nevermore kind of they're power metal adjacent because they don't really want to be called power metal. They don't do the real like grandiose sort of Iron Maiden power metal thing, but it's essentially like technical progressive death metal, but with sung vocals as opposed to screamed, and a little more melodic than that, and they're not afraid of a ballad or seven. Really, this band to me revolves around the fact that Jeff Loomis justifies the existence of 7-string guitars in my mind. I love like he's one of the most technically sound players in metal, and doesn't really sound like anyone else. There's a lot of people who try to sound like him but don't do it well. This is their first album that heavily featured 7-string guitars, and I mean there is, they still play sixes on some stuff, but like to me, before this time, the only person I had ever really heard play a 7-string guitar were the guys from Korn. They're not that good. Like they were basically using, they put drop tunings and bar chords, and it sounded cool when I was like 13, but anytime after that, like you can see right through it. Jeff Loomis plays a 7-string guitar like it's just an extended range 6. It allows him to go lower than he would, but it isn't all like super tuned down strings rattling around. Like this is 7-string guitar in standard tuning almost exclusively. He does crazy sweet.
Cut. You're out. Can't hear you.
I thought that was just me for a second. I was like, did something fuck up
you're
my
back.
headphones?
Okay, so apparently technical difficulties. Lots of crazy sweep picking and solos, and I listen to this album for Jeff Loomis. For Jeff Loomis mostly. World Dane has okay vocals. They're unique. They don't really sound like anyone else. The drum stuff's okay, but it's not special in the way a lot of other bands of this era are to me. But I still enjoy this record now, and it's got one of my favorite metal songs of all time on it. That was really the reason I picked it. It's mostly for one song.
Mm-hmm. But we'll get into tracks in the next block. But Brett, how would you describe this album musically? What would be the themes elements that caught your attention?
Well, I mean, I'm familiar with Mr. Loomis and what he does with an extra string that he would not. You would not be able to have that extra string to sweep onto if it was a baritone guitar. But yeah, this is modern heavy metal. And this band has dashes of prog metal and thrash thrown in, and some very skilled technical guitar work. There are some novelty metal vocals that poke in, but it's not overbearing. The drums are what you would expect. I mean, it's not going to change your world view on drums. They certainly know how to play a double kick pedal. The guitars align pretty well with what you would expect for the genre and period. It's not all open Z tuning fart guitar, but the guitars do have sort of a percussive effect, which is what I sort of think of with this genre, is when you palm mute and you have a slack B string that's tuned to something, who knows what.
This is almost exclusively, I think, in standard tuning. maybe a half step down. But the reason they went to sevens was specifically so they didn't tune down, so he could keep normal string tension. But B strings B strings, the best B string in the world is gonna sound a little bit like a bass string because it kind of is.
Well, yeah, you start running into problems with the amount of tension that's on the string, and when you pluck the string, the string's vibrating, it's going to start smacking frets because it's a guitar. It's part of the deal. When you see somebody who's doing it wrong, you'll definitely hear the string slapping against things that it's not supposed to. You won't have the sustain. Also, it's really hard to set two guitars up when you're that low to make them both be in the same pitch up the neck. You start to hear that. So the production worked. It was good. The number of pitch harmonics and speedy sweep picking gymnastics was less than I was expected. But I'm not really sure. I think it was post this that it became let's see how many times we can play a diminished scale up and down a neck in one stroke. But it doesn't hit all of the tropes of the time, but there's definitely the smell of the early 2000s, and I'll get into that when we break into the songs in the next block.
Yes. Drew, what would be the themes elements that caught your attention?
The heaviness of this album sort of hit me in a weird way. And this is sort of a warning to folks on this podcast, folks who might guest on this podcast, or any metal bands that might be listening. If you can make me feel like John Romero may listen to your band while coding, I might really enjoy your music. Because that's I sort of got that vibe from a lot of the tracks on here. Just because of the tonality and the variation on it. And it's a very well put together record in a lot of ways. The guitar work is, like they said, by far the best part. And again, that variation I think is important in this. There is sweeping epic guitar lines. There is some cool crunchy palm muted type stuff. There's some crazy stuff going on in the guitar. The weird part to me is Patrick sort of fluffing off the vocals. I thought the vocals were actually right up there. I really enjoyed
World Dane is an acquired taste. I love Nevermore. He is my least favorite part of it, and I still like him. But
that's weird.
He does some weird things. That was my hope was can I find metal that Drew likes because I take out the screaming and put something different in, because it's not like the shrieky high pretty vocals. It's gritty and powerful and
There's
very
range to it.
He's I guess he's has operatic training and sort of took that in the metal.
It makes sense.
Yep.
How would you compare
5 years of opera training?
How would you compare it to the vocals from, let's say, Hulk Rules? The Jimmy Hart eyes, the faux Sammy Hagar.
He's no Mouth of the South. Let me tell you.
It was not Halford. Let's just say it wasn't. Halford.
But it isn't trying to be Halford either.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed it a lot. But also, what's weird about this album, we have back-to-back albums that deal with a lot of, politics in them. You have, actually, a fair bit of, right out on Front Street, laid bare before you, political views that are, pointed fingers at stuff. Whereas, this sort of metal album, maybe it's just something I've never dived into, but, I've never really heard that be a huge part of this sort of heavy progressive metal sort of sound. But in the same vein, it was really cool to hear something like that. You heard admonishments of drug law and stuff in this album, which was really kind of cool. And that's sort of the thing, is it has a little bit of everything. Yeah, they don't shy away from a slower, pretty song, but at the same time, they can flip that switch very easily into something that is, if I'm going to use another John Romero callback, it can get into the like rip and tear guitar parts very, very quickly, which I think is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has a lot of really cool elements to it as far as like that metal sound. Yeah, like I agree with you, Drew. I actually dug the vocals, the fact that they had a melody to them, they had a range to them, which is really cool. But yeah, Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks?
So I'll do the Record Breakers thing just because I think it shows one side of the band really well. Narcosynthesis. It's heavier than hell. It's fast. You get the super tight drums, which I really like. Like, I don't like sloppy metal drummers outside of Dave Lombardo, who isn't super sloppy, but compared to the guys who learned from that, is nowhere near as tight. Like, it's the nature of coming out of thrash versus guys who listened to thrash and then heard Mike Portnoy and put the two together. And it's a super tight track. Jeff Loomis is being Jeff Loomis, and like I said, I feel like he justifies the existence of 7-string guitars in metal music in a way most guys don't. And that's a really good example of it. I'll go with one of the ballads, The Heart Collector, just because it's like the chord progression is basically sounds like a pop song, but it's still kind of heavy, and it's you know, it's got some good guitar stuff on it, like all these do. The River Dragon Has Come is probably the closest you could say to this going straight up power metal, you know, just being kind of that thing. But my favorite metal song maybe of all time, Believe in Nothing. That song, like the first time I heard it, I'm like, holy shit, what is this? This is amazing. And that was like 15 years ago. It's to me, it's one of the chorus lick on it is like this super like thick, heavy guitar line, and it has a really really fun guitar solo, and it's not a meedly me sweet picky solo. Although Jeff Loomis does that better than most, it's like just a straight up like rock and roll guitar solo with a few meedly me's, but it's really good. I think this is on the vocal side. This is like what I think World Dane does best. Like it's really like powerful over like a heavy ballad kind of thing. And I also really like the closer on this, Dead Heart in a Dead World, the sort of title track. You think you're going to get another ballad, and then it's kind of one of the heaviest songs on the record. And it's the last song on albums is rarely really good, but this one's one of them.
Brett, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. Narcosynthesis, we'll start off with that. You know, it gives you that open position growl from the guitars. There's plenty of drums, plenty of them, just enough. There's some stereo vocals with some modulation effects. Unfortunately, this song sort of smells of its era. There was a definite stench of Godsmack type sound that was not unexpected. You know, it's of its era. I mean, we're talking, you know, Bush Gore time. You know, the guitar solos were fun. There were real decent 2-part harmonies on the solos, but they had solid use of a wah pedal, and that can be abused. A wah pedal, a chorus pedal, and meedly me's is a recipe for disaster a lot of times. But they made it work. Inside Four Walls, I enjoyed the guitar work. Go figure. But there's some pretty technical stuff going on with the sweep picking. But on the other hand, there's major parts of it that's just your good old minor gin and tonic, like your grandpa played. You know, so it's not overplayed. Your ear can digest it, because like if you listen to like, let's say, Alan Holdsworth or weird music or extra fast stuff, sometimes you have trouble following along. It just turns into this unintelligible mess of noise that, you know, obviously is played with skill, but like sometimes it's hard to follow. This album didn't have any problems. When they wrote these solos, they knew to take breaths in their guitar playing, which is important. They did really well. The River Dragon Has Come. I tried to make an ejaculation joke like 5 or 6 times. It didn't work, so come up with your own. By Spotify's measure, this is the second most popular song off this album. This song takes its time and it goes places. It has a sort of overproduced quality that's just far enough up its own butt that it's the kind that it's heavy metal up your butt that I like the most, because like heavy metal musicians portray themselves as like comic book villains, and they really, they're like Glenn Danzig. They got to go and get cat litter too, and I love it when people extra spice things up, and it had just enough of that. I can imagine that a beanpole of a teenager thinking that like that song was the pinnacle of music and nothing that hits his ears will ever be better, and that really made me smile. I found it very enjoyable, along with a lot of songs. These guys know what they were up to. And there are a lot of people that listen to this album that will be at your local Guitar Center right now trying to do it.
Yeah.
So I was in Guitar Center the other day, and there was one
try
dude.
To do something?
No, I can't play this shit. I ain't good. But there was just from this era, there was a dude just playing repeatedly every other Lamb of God song I'd ever heard, and I've heard a lot of them. It's that is the era we are in, but I feel like these guys don't sound like that, and that's what's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the Guitar Center rule is if the music was released about 20 years ago, it's taken 20 years for that guy to get to this point, and he's going to show everybody. So, this album moved somebody to go to Guitar Center and annoy the guy working behind the counter by going boodle-doodle-doo, clank, diddle-doo, clank, diddle-doo. And yeah, I really enjoy that. The world would be a whole lot dumber if people weren't out there trying to one-up each other by playing things that other people wrote.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Well, that's why I would never be able to work in a music store.
Let's start a cover band, Drew.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Heavy metal together. I do have Marshalls behind me, which is kind of weird because I don't use them for that. But yeah.
Yes.
You use them for beverages.
Well,
Damn it! If we're starting a metal band, I just sold my Mesa Boogie. I'm screwed.
Too bad. It's jazz now.
Yeah. Jazz metal.
I have the jazz bass. Like I can grab it right now. No, but like Narcosynthesis. It is a song that starts out crunchy, in your face, super powerful. Album's already talking about drugs, which is great.
Hey.
Yes, as we may or may not know, depending on if it made it into pre-show of the show. Or wait, no, it was actually.
Oh, it's in the show. Drew, #1 advocate for drugs.
Wait, yeah, no, I smoke a lot of
call
weed.
him up.
Hey, smoke weed every day. I know me a lot of drugs. Which, if we're gonna keep on going with that sentiment, inside four walls,
he eats a lot of marijuanas.
That's right.
I am responsible for the taking of so many marijuanas.
He's a jazz cigarette aficionado.
I have 5 marijuanas a day.
Certified.
So I super dank. I am the dankest of marijuanas. Inside Four Walls, if we're gonna go on that. Another song about drugs, but this one in a more political bent. I feel like it's almost like in a punk rock demeanor that you give like a giant fuck you to like certain laws and certain methods of jail time decisions, which is weird. And then how we haven't mentioned the cover yet.
Yeah.
I don't exactly
I
understand.
purposefully avoided it because it has not aged well.
I loved it.
Really?
I loved everything.
Really?
Yes.
That surprises me because it's like the one on this, like, okay, I'm going to skip this. And I love the original song. Like, Sound of Silence is a beautiful song.
Yeah, Simon Garfunkel, great. Don't get me wrong. Although I know I'm probably in the minority, but I really like "You Can Call Me Out" better. But
I'm with
Art
you on that,
Garfunkel
too.
over Paul Simon any day of the week, so we can all be bad.
Yeah.
well, yeah, we all disagree on things sometimes, and that's okay because we'll get to the same means in the end, I think. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It lets the original sort of be remembered and revered and respected, but yet makes it the song is their own thing, and they make it have their voice, and I think that's really the sign of a really solid cover. In the pre-show, I mentioned what I think is the greatest cover of all time, which is Skank and Pickle doing Devo's "Gates of Steel." But as Brett shakes his head at me for you audio listeners.
He knows exactly what the best cover song is. What is that, Drew?
What?
It is "Girls on Film" by Wesley Willis.
Oh God.
It's right in the chat, right under Skank and Pickle. Sorry, I thought we were going to have a bit there, and it didn't work.
Nope, completely forgot. Don't look at the chat. Usually have it closed. Unless I have something dumb to put in the back chat to try to make somebody chuckle. Yeah, I really enjoyed The Sound of Silence as a cover song.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool, interesting cover, and it's fun to listen to. Yeah, and it's some really cool tracks on there. Did enjoy Narcosynthesis as well. It's a great opener, kind of gets you in the mood right away as soon as you pop it in, start playing. But yeah, let's bring it back around the horn for some conclusions, some conclusive thoughts on the album. Brett, what would be your conclusions on this album as a whole?
Well, conclusively, I will conclude that this was an enjoyable experience, though it really didn't.
I'm going to conclude.
It wasn't life-changing. There's quality workmanship in every corner of this album. I think it's totally cool, but I doubt that I'm going to go out of my way to listen to it anytime soon. I think of it like, hallucinogenic drugs. It's a great non-addictive experience that would be lessened by overuse. This album is okay periodically.
Yes, in doses, as it were.
Yeah.
Drew, what would be your conclusive thoughts?
I usually harp on a lot, like, I'm glad to get this over with. I'm glad to get out of here or whatever. But this is going to be something that I'll probably throw on when I get into work, when I know my metal-loving friend at ARA is in the back of precinct. It's something that is going to be kept in the back of my mind. It is something that I very much enjoyed, and I'll probably go find some of their other stuff and sort of be one of the ones that, like, hey, maybe they could get back together and make another album, like somebody we recently reviewed also did, and make it pretty good.
There's the distinct possibility it will happen. They parted on amicable terms. That said, Jeff Loomis is with Arch Enemy right now, and
Yeah.
I assume he's going to keep getting them checks for a minute.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised to see another Nevermore album before long, assuming, barring some sort of tragedy.
Yeah.
Their name says it all.
Nevermore.
Quote the Loomis, Nevermore.
Exactly. Damn. And now we have another non-used episode title.
That's right.
Because we don't do episode titles. But yeah.
You could always start.
Yes. But yeah, Patrick, what would be your conclusive thoughts?
I hadn't listened to Nevermore in a minute, and like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I just stuck on this album and was reminded, damn, this is really good. I will say this: the album that followed this, which is escaping my mind right now, is better, except that you have to find a really specific remixed, remastered version because the original recording is hot garbage. But
Enemies of Reality.
yeah, Enemies of Reality. It's if you like, it gets a little more like crazy technical time signature stuff mixed in with. Jeff Loomis being Jeff Loomis.
It was due to the mixed reception of the album's production by Kelly Gray. It was remixed and remastered by Andy Sneap in first 2005 reissue.
Yeah. So, and it's also not on Google Music, and I don't want to put anyone through that. But if you get a chance, go listen to Enemies of Reality. I think it's called Remixed and Remastered. It's phenomenal. But this album I picked because I love several songs on it, and Believe in Nothing's one of my favorite things. Like, I was all super excited when All That Remains covered it like 5 years ago. It's fun, and it reminds you that like 7-string guitars don't just have to be like smack jangly corn shit. Like, Steve Vai could use them, and John Petrucci could use them, but like neither of them are super metal, and this is super metal. So yeah, go listen to it.
Go listen to it. That's our motto. You should have already, because it's your homework. Do your homework. But yeah, those are our thoughts on Nevermore. Now we get to the main event of the evening. The main event of the evening, what we've all been waiting for. Our haiku reviews. Let's get things started. I'll start with you, Brett. Brett, what is your haiku?
It's pretty aight. It's heavy metal music with a proggy twist.
How many syllables are in I or however?
It's a good fill all.
Yes.
You can make it be 6 syllables if you needed it to.
Yes. Drew, what is your haiku?
A lot of good crunch with the right amount of clean. Rotation? Probably.
My haiku. Tightly done vocals with some good guitar wailing. Good power metal. And Patrick, what is your haiku?
7-string metal. Loomis makes the best riffage. Quality shredding.
Fellow shredders. Built to lap. Sorry.
Will it shred?
Yeah.
Yes. But yes, those are our haiku reviews. And that concludes our thoughts on Nevermore's Dead Heart in a Dead World.
Such an uplifting title. That I will grant it. It is the anti-uplifting title.
Dirt Hurt and Dirt Beard. As I try to say it.
Award nominated but recused podcast.
Exactly. Yeah.
We would have won that shit.
We would have.
And we
not
would
by
not
our
have earned
merits, but
we would not have earned it, and we would have been weird.
yeah, it would have sucked. We would have had listeners and stuff for like at least an episode. We don't want that.
Hey, we've had listeners for an episode, thanks.
When is Baby Metal making another record? But
I was going to say, what's Baby Metal's newest record? Maybe we need to pick that one again.
I mean, we've done both of them, so yeah, we got to wait for the next one. And they don't do it like K-pop, where they come out every year or every few months. But yeah, you can of course find this album on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers the home game. Follow along with us along at home. Do your homework. Presumably next week's record will be on there as well, and it will be provided by Brett. Brett, what do you got for us?
Well, we're gonna go on a magical tour of an album I don't even think I've heard all of, but it's gonna be another slow pitch down the middle if I know you guys. It is the 1985 self-titled album from Paul Hardcastle.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
You will be intrigued. You will be very intrigued.
the self-titled Paul Hardcastle. And it is so there are several Paul Hardcastles.
It's the one from 1985, simply called Paul Hardcastle.
Because there's at least four of them. But yeah, look forward to that. Paul Hardcastle. Roll fizzle beef. Look forward to that discussion. But that's next week, and this is this week. And you can, of course, find us all over the internet. Patrick is at Swagger. Brett is at HibbityBibbard, HIBBITYBIBBARD. Drew is at XJuicerForX. I'm at Petey Rave. The show's 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com. Rebelli.net and for this and the other content. Rebelli TV on YouTube, on Twitch, and a couple other places, I imagine. We're on iTunes, Stitcher. Like, share, subscribe. Do all the things. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Toodaloo.